So we come to the first Sunday of Lent. The image that is sometimes useful to us begins with our lesson last Sunday. Do you remember that last Sunday we had the story of the Transfiguration? Jesus went up a mountain, and he was transfigured before his disciples, and he was speaking with Elijah and Moses, and the disciples fell down at his feet. It was a scene of enormous glory. And the point of that scene is its glory. The point of that event is the voice that comes from heaven, so improbably, "This is my beloved Son, listen to him." The point of the story is that Jesus is the Son of God, the Son of God. He's not just Jesus of Nazareth. He's not just the disciples' leader. He's not just a person walking through the earth. He is the Son of God in all his glory. And all the disciples can do is fall down. And anything they say or do is like dust. That's the story we had last week. Now we come down the mountain and we go on this journey side by side with Jesus for 40 days. And at the end of the journey, Jesus will be on a mountain again. Not so much a mountain, maybe a hill, the hill of Calvary. And he will be hanging on that cross, and he will be very human, and he will be suffering as humans suffer, and he will be very much one of us. We will identify wholly with that Christ, because he will have lived our lives with us. We will know his suffering because we know our suffering. We will know the challenges that he has been through in this life because we know our challenges. So we begin Lent with this idea that Jesus is totally other, totally not us. And we end Lent with the sense that Jesus is totally us, is flesh and blood. Jesus is our brother. He's one of us. And that's the transition that we make through this Lenten season. It's interesting because in our liturgy today, we kind of celebrate those two things. On the one hand, we began with the Litany of Penance. And the Litany of Penance says, we're bums. It says we can't do anything right. The Litany of Penance suggests all sorts of things that we do wrong in our pride. And they're only suggestive, because we could go on with that Litany of Penance for a very long time and never exhaust it. So we begin with that sense that Christ is Christ, and we are dust. We are nothing. We are unable to lift our heads to his glory. And then, in a moment, we're going to say our baptismal covenant. And in that baptismal covenant, we're not forgetting that we've said all that in the Litany of Penance, that we are nothing. But we say, we believe. We believe in God, the Father Almighty. And we commit ourselves to serving God to serving our neighbor as ourselves, because that is part of God's work in the world. We commit ourselves to God's kingdom in that covenant. And so the richness of this service is that we hold on to those two things: a profound sense of our own humility and worthlessness, and our profound sense of being a child of God, of being God's adopted child in baptism, and therefore an instrument of God's profound, important work in the world. So, in today's gospel, Jesus goes into the wilderness. And he goes into the wilderness and he is confronted by Satan. And Satan says to him, if you're the Son of God — Satan knows he's the Son of God. This is not a story about Jesus proving he's the Son of God. Everybody knows he is at this point, including Satan. Since you are the Son of God, he says, turn this rock into bread, because you can do it and because you're hungry and you should take care of yourself. And Jesus says, no, God will take care of me. And Satan says, well, if you're the Son of God, then throw yourself off the pinnacle and God will take care of you. And Jesus says, no, you're not supposed to tempt the Lord your God. I'm not a showman to do something like that. And then Satan says to him, well, since you're the Son of God, come up to this mountain and worship me, and I will give you all the nations of the earth. And Jesus says, no, you can really only worship the one who is that source that you come from. And so be gone, Satan. Now, what is it that Satan is saying to us?